Hey, welcome back to the Hammer Grind Podcast. I have a very special guest today. Doug Wright is a contractor. We're going to get into a little bit more about him in just a second, but we're doing something slightly different today. Doug has come on. He's a contractor, as I mentioned, and we're going to be doing kind of a live coaching / just audit of his business and see if I can help him with some information that may be able to unlock some, points in the business where you may be stuck. So do me a favor. If you like this type of interview, go to the comments or go to your platform you're listening on and let me know. Shoot me a message, smoke signal. I don't care. Just let me know if you like this. If you don't like this type of interview, don't bother messaging me. No, I'm just kidding. Let me know either way if you like it or don't. If you really like it, I'll do more of these types of interviews. And if you want to be on the podcast, and what I guess we can call this the hot seat. Maybe that's the segment that we're going to call it the hot seat. So if you want to be on the hot seat like Doug is, reach out to me and maybe we can get that going for you as well. So without further ado, Doug Wright, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me.
Give us a little bit about the information about your business. Like what kind of trade do you do? All that stuff.
We do foundation masonry repair. We've been in business a long time. I'm third generation contractor. But we're having trouble with modernizing. We've just done things the old way forever, and it's time to get the business caught up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being on. So you said you do foundation and like basement stuff, repair, masonry.
Yeah.
You do like tuck point and all that stuff too, or no?
Yeah. I mean, we do. We've done schools. I mean, we do houses. The masonry's been big. And the foundation repair, we've been doing that about 20 years. Do a lot of basement work, a lot of crawl space work. So,
and where are you located? What state or?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Okay.
We serve northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas.
Do you guys have like underground mines there where you're at?
No.
Mm-hmm. They have underground mines here where I'm at in southern Indiana, and the city I live in, there's a old, it's like 20, 30-year-old mines. And so there's a lot of foundation repair work in this area because of the mines. I just didn't know if you got any of that or not.
No, we just got the nasty clay is what we get to deal with. That and just things weren't built properly. So
yeah, that clay is no joke.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Well, let's get into your business a little bit. So you mentioned trying to, would you say automate or what would you use?
Kind of modernize.
Modernize.
We don't. Yeah.
Okay. What does that mean exactly to you?
Well, we need to just get our everything in order. Like we don't even have accounting software. We just have always ran it just kind of the old way, the way Dad ran it, and it's just time to get it because it's just become too much of a burden on me to try to be on the jobs all the time and come in and try to take care of the stuff at night, and it's a nightmare. I don't, I'm just not doing good with it.
Okay, so give me a breakdown of your structure of your business. Is it you in the office? Like what's how many employees, that type of stuff?
I got 7 employees. I do the office work as far as all the business work. My dad's still involved. He mainly just answers the phone and kind of consults with me a little bit, but I do 90% of the office work. And then I've got a lead guy for the foundation stuff, and my brother is the lead guy on the masonry. So we're in like 2 small crews, a 4-man crew and a 3-man crew. So
okay, how is the ownership structure broke down?
The ownership right now it's a sole proprietorship, but we're getting ready to switch it to an LLC.
I mean, like percentage wise, do you own 100% of it? Does your brother or dad still a part of it? Like, how's that?
My right now, my dad owns 100%, but we're going to shift the LLC, and I'm going to take the bulk of it.
Okay.
So
And then is your brother going to have part of ownership or no?
a very very small percent.
Okay, just a little bit of equity. Okay. So
Yeah,
you're gonna be
yeah,
the main shareholder of the company once you switch to the
yes.
LLC. Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out like are there other people that have to make decisions, as far as changes.
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're it. The buck stops with you then.
yeah, and that's kind of the problem. there's a lot of there's a lot of bucks floating around to stop with me.
Well,
So
that's how it is. I mean, that's what we're on here
yeah,
is to try and figure out how we can start alleviating some of that responsibility from you, as well as, like you said, modernize it. So the accounting software, are you just doing it all manually, like spreadsheets, or how are
yeah.
you doing it now?
That ledger book,
Okay.
the old fashioned way. Yeah, the old fashioned way.
And how much time do you spend on the accounting stuff yourself?
Myself, not much. My mother does a lot of that. So I've see, and that's part of the problem is I'm good on the jobs, and this the business end of it. I never learned it, because I'd just rather be on the job,
Yeah.
and it's really kind of caused an. Sorry about that. It's kind of caused an issue. Um, just I, the business. I don't want to say it's been neglected, but really, it's always been the lowest priority of everything, the business work,
Okay.
and it's really caused some problems.
Okay. What kind of problems?
Oh, just the cycle, just that crazy cycle you get into where you're going for a while, everything's good, you hit one little hiccup, one person doesn't pay, and all of a sudden you're just out for months. You can't, it's and then just the constant stress of it, because you know like I always say, the only guarantee is that it's going to rain. And if you're not prepared for the rainy days, it's it's a stressful thing.
Okay. I'm taking notes here. Quite a few notes. I want to make sure I get a good picture of what's going on. So your mom is doing a lot of the. Is that all she does? Is just kind of the accounting entry
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, and she's pretty well out of it. I mean, she's wanting to get out of it. We're switching like really soon.
Okay.
So I mean, we've been in the talks of it for a while.
So mom and dad both are they're ready to retire and be done.
Yeah, late 70s. Yeah.
Okay. So does that mean that you're going to take over the accounting stuff, or are you going to hire somebody, or what's the plan there?
Um, my wife is going to probably help me with the accounting till we get it figured out, and then I would like to have a bookkeeper, you know, because that's just it's not our specialty.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah. Okay. Well, the one thing you definitely want to do is get your accounting into some type of software. So, I mean, QuickBooks is the most prevalent one out there, although it's not the
right,
only one. Another one that's free is Wave Accounting, WAVE. That's a free version of it. It's really a stripped down, basic version of QuickBooks. So it's kind of a good place to get started in terms of going from
right,
paper to digital. And the good thing about it is that later on, if you ever wanted to upgrade to QuickBooks, you can just export all of the information straight into QuickBooks. So it's not
oh,
like you
okay,
have to redo everything. But I use QuickBooks in my construction business, but I use Wave in my coaching business because I don't have a lot of materials and stuff I got to track and all that. It's just a
right,
lot easier, and I really like Wave. So that's a good option to, and it's because it's free. You can kind of dip your toe in there and just kind of get your feel of it before you fully commit to something like that.
yeah. Um, Does it have? It probably doesn't have any sort of payroll
I'm pretty sure it does
software.
payroll. There's a free version and
Oh,
there's some paid versions. Like if you start adding payroll or you start wanting to do additional services, you can pay for it. But I'm pretty
okay.
sure they offer. It may be a third party. I think they. I don't want to say
Yeah,
100%, but I do think they have a payroll. I mean, they do estimates, invoices. Actually, they don't. I'm not 100% sure they do estimates. That's one thing I'm not sure about. But for basic, expenses, invoicing, that type of stuff, it works pretty good. It's worth checking out. Let's put it that way.
yeah, absolutely.
But
It sounds good to me.
QuickBooks is going to be kind of the premium, accounting software. Most accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers, most of them are familiar with QuickBooks. They're going to be able to log in from remotely into your QuickBooks account, do whatever they need to do. Versus, I'm not for sure on Wave if you can have users and all that. I'd have to check, but it just QuickBooks is going to be set up. But it's kind of expensive. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's gotten up there over the
Yeah.
years. So okay, so that's the software. That one's pretty easy. What else is like if you could wave a magic wand? What would be the one thing you would want to fix right now?
Uh, Systemizing.
Okay,
We
systemizing.
just
What does that mean
we've
exactly?
well just consistent ways to do everything. Just where I don't have to make the decision on in every instant. We've kind of convinced ourselves that there's so many variables that we can't really systemize and have a consistent way of approaching everything. And I would like to find something that covers the 75-80%, so I could could be off of the jobs more.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you this: that you can always systematize. There's nothing there's no situation where there's too many variables that you can't solve for. I mean, there's
Right.
people out there that do things that are 10 times more complicated than what you're doing and can systemize it. So we got to kind of remove that limiting belief a little bit,
Right.
because it's just not true. That being said, do we need systems with our sales process? Do we need systems with our estimating? Do we need systems with our production? Like, where are we?
Production, sales and sales I could do a lot better, but I do okay. Um, but production is we just have some inconsistencies.
Okay, let's dive into that a little bit. So, explain to me your production process. Once the job's sold and it gets scheduled, for whatever day, what's
Right.
next? What goes next?
We just gather the material and we start. We don't really, we kind of have a loose plan, but that's it. It's real loose, and we look at it. Me and my lead guy, we kind of look at it and dive in and
Okay,
come up with a.
let's back up for a second. So, when you sell the job, do you
Mhm.
produce a cut list or a material list for what you need?
What I do is I have a software that I kind of draw a blueprint and make like a blueprint of where we're going to put the all the jacks, the piers, all that stuff, and that's kind of what we have. And then I pull a material list from that.
Okay, so you're talking like a foundation repair type of
Yeah.
job, right? Okay, so using that example, so you do a kind of a blueprint, and then from the blueprint you take off the material list, right?
Right.
And that's all done before like during the estimating or after it's sold.
During the yes, that's before I turn the proposal in. Yeah.
Okay, so you create the blueprint that helps you estimate the materials, which helps you estimate the price to sell it at, and then
Yeah.
you sell the job. The customer says yes, and then now you take this
Yeah.
blueprint and material list, and then what? What happens next?
I would just go do it. We just show up and start figuring out where to go.
So the guys just
Yeah, we
like
don't.
the guys just kind of like through the teleportation or ESP, they just know where to go, or how does that work?
Well, we like I said, we have a pretty quick discussion of you know, we might want to start back there because this is going to block off our access if we start here. That's about as in depth as we get. So, and then we just start working.
Okay, so how do the guys know where to go,
We tell them.
and
I
how does
just
that happen?
tell them.
Like, I mean, I want you to walk me through every detail. I'm one of your employees. I come in on Thursday morning. What am I doing today?
Yeah, we just I'll just pull up the drawing and say, okay, we're going to set here. I want you to start with the bases in the back, and then just start doing the bases. Then we'll come back and start setting the jacks
Okay,
and the
uh,
piers.
so back up for me for a second. How I don't even know where to go to the job. I don't even know where the job site's at. How do I get that
Oh,
information?
I give them an address, or they follow me. A lot of times, if we're starting a job, I'll go with them to start the job, and they just follow me
So
from the shop.
do your employees meet at the shop or at your house in the morning?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We meet at the shop,
Okay, so everybody comes to the shop. What time does that start?
7:30.
I'm going to come to the shop at 7:30. You're going to say, "Hey guys, we're going to go start a job over here at XYZ Main Street, 123 Main Street, or just get in the truck and follow me."
Yeah, yeah. We load up I got a list of the tools we need. We load them up, and off we go.
Just in the back of a pickup truck or what?
Um, I've got a regular pickup. Lead guy has a utility bed. He's got the bulk of the tools in the utility bed. We just load up the materials and things that we need.
And when do you get the materials for the job?
I try to get them in advance and just have them at the shop. I usually get them like a couple days before.
And do you do that yourself?
Most of the time, yeah.
Okay, so you sold the job. You know you're going to start in 3 or 4 days. During the day, whenever you get a chance, you run and get all the materials, throw them in your truck, come back to the job, unload. I mean the shop,
The
unload
shop,
the
yeah,
materials, and they're kind of staged. Are they staged in a very specific area for that job?
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're all. We have everything in its set spot at the shop. So
Okay. Well, just quick question: why not have like a trailer or a van or something where the tools and everything are already able to be loaded up?
we got all the tools in the utility bed,
Okay.
but we've discussed a trailer. Um, you know, we've also discussed a van. I don't know. We just haven't done it yet.
What's the downside to doing a trailer?
The upfront expense. I mean,
Okay.
you know, and where my shop is, it's on a main road. But I've had over the years, I've had several trailers stolen. Had a skid loader stolen. And it's kind of got me a little, even with the locks, it's got me a little kind of gun shy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, okay, so we load the materials up, we go to the job site, and then you got 4 guys on that crew, and you just say, Billy, go over there, do this, Tommy, go do that, John, go do that.
Pretty much.
And then when you leave, then your brother or whoever the other lead guy is, the foreman, he kind of takes over.
Yeah.
Do they, and they
We
have a set of the plans that they go off of?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody has a copy of the drawing.
Okay. And then how do you, I mean, do you give your foreman or your brother? Do you give them like, hey, this job is scheduled for 5 days to get done. This is the goal, or how does that work?
I haven't been doing that, but I started doing that recently, kind of letting them in. My brother's always been in on the masonry, but as far as the foundation repair, we started. We're trying to gather more information, and I'm getting into that with him quite a bit. How many hours we got and everything, and all that. Um, I'm just starting to kind of clean this up. I mean, I've taken care of so much of myself that I've just made a mess of it. I didn't have to tell everybody what to do, because I would be there.
Right.
But now I kind of see the downside of that.
So here's the thing: if for a owner operator of a business, meaning you're working on the tools, if you want to transition
Right.
off the tools, you have to get everything out of your head onto paper.
Yeah. That's
That's scary
that's
thought.
that's tough. Yeah, it is. It is.
That's what you have to do. Like if you ever want to be able to be untied or handcuffed to the job site, you have to
Right.
get everything out of your head onto paper. It's not as hard as you may think it is. And there's actually some other tools that you can use to make it way easier, but that is what has to happen. You have to get everything out of your
Right.
head onto paper.
And and here's where I run into my big problem every time I've tried to clean things up. Where do you start?
You start with what's bugging you the most or costing you the most money right now.
Yeah.
So
And
sometimes, like, what's really bugging you the most, like sucking up all your energy or taking all your time, or stealing all your focus away, it could be a little tiny thing that doesn't add or cost you anything other than your time. Or it
right.
could be like, I'm bleeding money over here with this thing, and I need to stop the bleeding. Then we can start with the money. But it's not necessarily I have to start with things that cost me money first. So, like, for example, the whole buying a trailer, staging the materials, all that's, to me, based on what you said, that's not a high priority. So I'm definitely not going to start with that.
Right.
But what I may start with, so far, based on what you said, I'm probably going to start with the accounting stuff and get the accounting stuff figured out, because that's
Yeah.
going away. Your mom's retiring soon. That's going
Yeah.
to go away. That's looming
Right.
in the background. So that needs to be
That.
dealt with, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. And plus, it's to the point to where I don't. I get my numbers, but the information I'm getting is old because it's not. You just don't keep up with it as quick as I need it. I'm not in a known financial position at all when I make a decision because the information I have is old by the time it's processed through everything. So,
Why though? Why is it old?
well, heck, she's old and wants to play with the grandkids and just kind of does it in her spare time.
Okay, so you're saying your mom doesn't do the data entry for maybe a week or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, she gets to it as she can. We do a lot of bank balance accounting, which is terrible.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a terrible way of doing business, but
I mean, you could hire, who does the payroll?
I do the payroll.
Okay, you could hire out a payroll company today for not a ton of money. You could hire out a bookkeeper, in the next week to start doing all of this data entry stuff. And by the way, if you hire like a CPA or an accountant for the bookkeeping side, or even for as your accountant, they will help you set up your books, like in QuickBooks or in Wave. Like, they will help you set all of that up for you. You don't have to be the
Really?
one that sets it up.
See, that's been one of my concerns because I've got some softwares, um, and I just God I struggle learning them because it's not something I really commit the time to that I need to.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty simple question, Doug. Do you want to improve your business, or do you want it to stay how it is?
Yeah, that's the I do. I'm getting to the point where what I'm doing is not sustainable, and I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
And I honestly I don't know how I've done it this long. I probably because I watched my dad do it for you know 40 years. So it's but it's absolutely time to make some changes.
Yeah, so I mean, like the payroll is easily. You don't need to spend. I mean, payroll's not that hard, but you don't need to spend time doing that. You could pay someone, 50, 100, maybe 100, $200 a month to do your payroll. That's well worth
Hmm.
it. You can pay.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
hire a bookkeeper to do all your accounts payable and accounts receivable, and also help you set up your chart of accounts in the online banking, like your QuickBooks or Wave. They can set that up for you, and they're going to charge you for it, but they can set it up for you, so you don't have to figure all that out. And that may be,
Right.
even if it's a couple $1,000s to do all that initially, it's going to be worth it to get you set up going forward, because now you have the right the backbone or infrastructure, if you will, in the accounting aspect, that you don't have to worry about it. You can go online and watch YouTube videos on how to use QuickBooks. Like there's all kinds of ways to get the information, but you have to want to make the change bad enough.
Right. And it's one of them things I know I've needed to. It's kind of like losing weight. I know I need to. I know how to do it. Kinda. I know how to figure it out, but it just it's not you know not always the top priority.
How do you
Doesn't
make
sound like much fun.
how do you make it a top priority?
Well, I think you just get close enough to burnout that you want to do. You know you got to make changes. That's kind of where I'm at.
So you're at burnout right now?
I'm pretty close.
Okay. I want to be straight with you here. Like, I'm not getting the vibe that you want it bad enough to make those changes. Maybe you are. I'm just not picking up on that.
Yeah. Well, I do. I want the changes. I want to make them.
But not if it costs you
Whatever.
time and energy and money. And
Well, that's just where I've been. I'm getting in a better spot here. Mindset's getting a little better,
nobody likes
but
change. Nobody likes to
right,
change stuff. So even if we have discomfort with how things are, the thought of changing is actually more discomforting than actually staying in discomfort.
right, right. It's that's I always call it the acceptable level of discomfort is your comfort zone.
Basically. And,
So
and if you want to be successful in business, you pretty much have to live in a constant state of uncomfortableness.
yeah,
So you have to learn to become comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's complacency.
right.
When you're at comfort level, you've entered complacency.
I think you know something that's always held me back is that I've always figured out a way to make it work, and so it's kind of, for one, it kind of removed some of the urgency, and two, it kind of ate up so much of my time that you know, my time and my energy just making it work that I didn't feel, I didn't put the necessary work into fixing it. So,
I get it, but you're not 20 anymore. Like you don't have
right,
unlimited energy and unlimited energy and stupidity.
right.
You know,
Oh, I had plenty of both.
so I mean, hypothetical, you get hurt in some way and you can't get out of bed for 6 months. What happens to the business?
That's a good question. Um, I would, I don't know, as long as I could get in the truck and go to the jobs and
No, you
talk
can't
to
get out of
them,
bed. You're bedridden for six
yeah,
months. What's going to happen to your business?
there won't be a business, more than likely.
And all your
So,
employees are going to lose their job.
right.
And so, does that weigh on your head at all? Like
Oh, absolutely.
the fragile,
Absolutely. I mean,
what fragility, is that a word? The fragility of your business.
yeah, absolutely.
This is another reason why you got to get that stuff out of your head on the paper. Because if you had everything that you do lined out on paper and you get hurt, you could easily delegate that information to someone else.
Right. I I think that that seems like a daunting task. It really does, and it's hard to. You said there was things I could there was things that could help me to start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
What is there softwares or
There's software, there's
what would
tech.
you recommend there?
So there's lots of ways you can approach this. There is for like office stuff, right? Like for example, and by the way, you don't have to be the person that does the actual putting it on paper. You could have someone
Right.
else do it for you. You don't physically have to do that.
This is getting better all the time.
You could, in theory, you could hire a personal assistant, your wife, whoever, who just follows you around all day, and as you're driving down the road, you're just saying, "It's okay. This is how I bid jobs. This is how I order materials. This is how," and they're just taking notes. You can also even record it on your phone. Like literally, you can record it into your phone. That can be transcribed, and then you could hire someone to put that into a step-by-step process. So I want you to start thinking like you don't have to be the one that physically does everything to organize your business.
Right. Okay.
So does that leave a
That's I
little
never
bit of,
really
does that relieve a little bit of stress knowing that you don't have to do
that
that?
relieves a lot. Yeah.
So that's just
If
one
there's a
way. There's other ways like if there's a process now you're trying to go from paper to digital with accounting, but like you could have your mom, if you were still doing the paper stuff, you could say, "Hey mom, can you document your process for X on a piece of
right.
paper or on a computer, Word doc or whatever? Can you just document like how you do that? Like how do you collect the checks and then enter them in the books and then make the deposit or whatever this task is?" And they
Right.
can document that because they're the ones that do it already.
Yeah. That that makes sense. I you know
You can have
because I don't know how to do all that stuff.
no,
So
and you can have your dad do the same thing. "Hey dad, how do you take the sales calls? Like what's the process? How do you create the whatever, if you have a folder or whatever, like you can start documenting that stuff." The next thing you can do is have your staff, your field guys, they can document some of the things that are going on out in the field. Your foreman, your brother, can document, and they can do it through video. So you could have, listen, all you got to do is take your cell phone, show up to the job site, to tell your brother, "Hey, I'm going to record you, and I want you to talk through how you dig these footers for the piers."
right.
And it's like, okay, first thing we do is we grab our shovel and we grab our bucket and we blah, 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 blah. And we do this, and you break it into like a 5-minute video. And all it is like, this is how we dig the footers for the piers. Take that video, and
That
now you can put it somewhere there's multiple ways of doing it. But you put that, and then the next video is like, okay, now explain how we pour the concrete for the footers.
see that makes a lot more sense than a written SOP. I
Yes. So
mean,
the field stuff is videotaped or pictures. And then your office
right.
stuff can be a screen grab. Like right now, I can go on to Loom, Loom. It's just a screen capture software. And I can just hit record, go through the screen and what I'm doing. I can talk in the mic. I can have a video of me if I want. And I could say, okay, this is how we enter checks into QuickBooks. Step 1, blah, blah, blah. Step 2, blah, 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 blah. And I can screen grab that. And now I have a video of a computer screen in that process. And so if I hire someone like an assistant or a office manager, all I got to do is say, "Go watch the videos on X. This is how we enter checks into QuickBooks. Go watch that video. This is how we, order materials. Go watch that video." Right? And you create a database on that. There's other things you can do too, Doug, with what they call QR codes. And this is probably the best way
Right.
because you can get stickers, right? And you put
Hmm.
stickers all over your field techs and all that equipment. And all they have to do, you could hire a greenhorn, an 18-year-old kid, and you're like, "Hey, go hook up the trailer for the materials." "Well, I don't know how to do that. I've never hooked the trailer up." All you got to do is scan that barcode on the tongue of the trailer. He goes over, he scans that barcode with his cell phone. There's a 3-minute video that shows him exactly how to hook up the trailer to the truck.
That's actually just a brilliant idea.
And you only
Because
do it
that's
once.
yeah.
And the beauty of like some of those QR code systems is that you can change them. So like if you print out the stick of the QR code and you stick it on your trailer, but then later on you're like, well, we're going to change our process. You can just go
Right.
re-record the video, upload it, and that QR code will now show the new video, the new process. You could do that with a manual. So pretend this is my field manual. It's got notes and stuff on it. I could just have a piece of paper that has a bunch of QR codes printed out on it.
Right.
And this is like, this QR code goes to how we dig the footer. This QR code goes to how we pour the concrete. This QR code goes to how we set the pier, whatever.
Yeah. See, this is well, damn, this isn't near as complicated as I thought.
It's not. It's really not.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too.
It,
When you start doing this and you start documenting and getting this stuff out of your head, it will become addictive. Like you will want to keep doing it to the point to where like now you're going around your house and like, recording how to use the microwave. I mean, like it will get to that point where it becomes fun.
I'd have to get the kids to show me how to do that.
There's a couple different softwares. One of them that you can use is called Gemba Docs. GEMBADOCS, Gemba Docs. And I'm pretty sure I actually have a discount code for them because he was a guest on my podcast back on episode 113. If you guys are listening to this, 113, I had Tom Hughes from Gemba Docs was on, and he gave us a QR code that we could use to give a discount. So that's just one. There's some others out there that you could do, but that's just one that will do that type of system for you, QR code system.
See, that would help tremendously. My guys that have been around a while, they do okay, and I usually just have the young guys kind of watch them. But it's pretty tough to, a lot of times they, we're in places like if we're in a crawl space, you're not going to bring in 2 kids to watch you do something,
Right.
So
you can record it.
So they wind up just doing the menial stuff because, we don't want them in the way a lot of times.
And so here's how you delegate that task. You tell your foreman, hey, or your brother, hey, you're going to record this. Whoever the expert is, whoever knows the most should be talking about the task, and then somebody else is recording it. But they're just explaining step by step, this is how we do it. And you keep them in short videos. If you have to break it up into multiple videos, you do that. Hey, step 1 is dig out grab the tools. These are the tools that you're going to need for digging a footer. Video number 2 or 2A or however you want to word that. This is how you shovel out in the crawl space, right? Like you can break it up into multiple. I do this in the Profit Club. So like if someone joins the Profit Club and they go through my training videos, most of those videos in there are no longer than 5-10 minutes tops. And so instead of doing like an hour long, okay, guys, this is how you do the entire sales process. It's a 2-hour long video. Grab your popcorn. No, I don't do that. It's like, this is how you answer the phone. Video 1. This is the first question you ask. Video 2. Like it's broken up so that it makes it easier to digest. And if in the future, you're like, hey, go put go get the piers and put them in. Well, I've never done that. Well, now you can say, well, just go watch the video on how to install piers. You're not saying go watch a 45-minute video on how to do the entire process.
Right.
That makes sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just break it down into digestible bites. Just because most of the time they only need to do a part of it, and then somebody else can be preparing for the next part of it,
And you can do a video on like how for a helper. Like you can even do it based on responsibilities. So if you got a guy who's the main operator, and then you got a helper who's just holding the shovel or getting the materials, like you could have a video that says, while we're digging the piers, these are the things that you should be getting ready and staged outside of the crawl space.
That would make sense.
And you
I
can
mean,
you can break
there's
it up by responsibilities.
there's so much time lost in
Teaching.
basically people, people or people just waiting to be told what to do. They just don't know the steps. So,
Right. So you document the steps and then they can watch it on their own.
God dang it, that all makes sense. kind of, it's kind of. I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Another problem that you're going to find a way to get on me about is that my scheduling is terrible. I can't tell somebody a week in advance when I'm going to be able to look at something. I do charge for my estimates. We call them evaluations, but
Good.
I just put a lot of work into them. But I can't tell them a week ahead of time when I can get there because
What's the reason why?
I'm always like, well, what if something comes up on the job? It's more of I call them and say, hey, I can be there. I can be there in 3 hours. A week later. It's terrible. It's unprofessional. But
What is going to come up on the job that you have to come in and save the day?
I don't know. I have no idea. Probably a fire that I've set myself at some point or another. Is how that. It's a mindset thing. It's almost like I just need to be around just in case.
It's a trust issue is what it is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why have staff if you don't trust them?
I I trust them, but I'm always just preparing for something. It's a big mindset thing, and I have trouble letting things go.
So we have an exercise that we do. It's called how to remove fear or anxiety. It's a fear and anxiety removal tool. And I didn't come up with this. I had one of my business coaches. Like I stole it from him basically. But it's an exercise you can do. So what if something happens on a job, right, where they potentially need your help? What's the worst case scenario if you're not able to help?
I don't know. They figure out something else. They figure out something on their own.
That sounds like a best
Oh,
case
if they did
scenario.
something. Yeah, right. If they did something wrong, I don't know, broke a joist under somebody's floor, or broke a window or something because they got something tweaked up and just out of whack. And it cost me a couple $1,000 or a day, or a big repair, a broken gas line, something like that.
How often does that happen?
So, I don't think we've ever broken a window or a door. The only one that's ever broke a gas line's me. So, so not often.
Hold on a second here. Wait a second. You've never broken a door or a gas or a window. You're the only one that you can remember that's broken a gas line. But
Right.
those are three things that you're terrified of happening if you're not there.
Well, sure. Yeah,
Does
it sounds silly.
Seriously, does that make any logical sense whatsoever?
It does not, but it's now that you kind of lay it out and point it out, it doesn't make sense. So
the tool, I kind of actually did a little backwards. The tool is whatever the issue is. Let's say breaking a window, right? The crew breaks a window. What good could come out of them breaking the window? What's something good that could come out of that?
oh God, they'd probably never over tweak something again.
So
If they
they would learn. They would
right.
learn a valuable lesson, right? That's a good. What else could possibly come out of that? What good could come out of it?
I don't I don't know. One of my buddies could get a job installing a window. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
possibly.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
helping a friend out, make some money. So
yeah.
the exercise is you take whatever bad thing happens and you look at what good could come out of it. And then you flip it and say, if perfect scenario happened, what's the bad thing that comes out of that? So let's say they never break a window. What's something bad that comes out of that? What would be a negative?
I can't really think of any. If they never got
Well,
anything tweaked or anything.
they would never have that experience of
Right.
like
Yeah, they
overdoing
wouldn't know to
something.
look for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
wouldn't have
wouldn't
that
know to kind of.
experience. What else good could come out of that? Or I mean, let's say good or bad. Bad. What else bad would come out of it?
I can't. I don't know.
So
If it never happened, yeah.
the exercise is designed to kind of neutralize both extremes. So if you go through this exercise and say, if the worst case scenario happens, what are some good things that come out of it? If the best case scenario happens, or if it doesn't happen, what's some bad things that come out of it? And if you do that, you really got to try to write down about 10 different things. If you can do that and look at it objectively, you can realize that even if worst case scenario happens, I can still take some good out of it. And if it,
Right.
best case scenario happens, there may be some bad things that come out of it. And it neutralizes these extreme views that we have of what if, what if, what if, what if. What if they break a window? What if they break a door? What if they break a gas line? What if they do this? And it's like, well, if that does happen, then I can see the silver lining in it. So I'm not going to stress out about it. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I never thought about it that way, but it's there's probably lot of a lot of it's unfounded. I understand that. It's just my mind racing. So, and a lot of it's if I don't understand something, I hide from the business stuff on the job. I'll just be honest with you.
What do you mean? What do you mean? If you hide from the business, what do you mean?
Well, it's just I could be writing an SOP, or I could be out actually building something or fixing something, and that's always my excuse. Well, I'm just so busy on the jobs,
But you don't need to be on the job.
I know it.
Your team probably doesn't even want you on the job.
Oh, no, that's not true. I'm a lovely guy. So
A couple other things I want to run by you. So, like, if you're doing procedures, if you're going to make some changes and stuff, get your field people's, at least your foreman, like, get their input.
right.
Because you may say, okay, I'm going to create this SOP that does X, Y, and Z, and you're not even going to be the one doing the work. They are. And so you walk up to them and say, okay, John, here's the new SOP you got to follow. And they're like, wait a minute. Like,
Right.
so get their opinion. And they can even actually create that for you. So they can do all of the SOP stuff, the standard operating procedures, how you're going to do stuff. They can actually create some of that stuff. And then you have the final ultimate authority of like, no, I don't want to do this, or yeah, this looks good.
Yeah.
But you don't, again,
Or
you don't have to be
tweak
the
this.
person that
Yeah.
does it.
See, that's and what's bad is I've got really good guys. I mean, great guys.
So start utilizing them.
Yeah, I just unbelievable guys, and I worry if I don't get this business stuff figured out, I'm gonna leave them in a bind.
So let's figure it out. Let's get it figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready.
Give your foreman more responsibility, Doug. You should be. A foreman is supposed to be able to run the whole job. You should be able to go to your brother and say, "Here is the scope of work. Go get it done," and never show up on the job site. never check in, never do anything. The job gets done, they collect the check, they give it to you, and it all is good. That's how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's what a foreman is supposed to do.
Right.
So give them that
That's
responsibility, and you have to trust them. And more importantly, you have to let them fail.
that's that's a tough one. You
I
know,
know.
I'm good with. Anyway, that's a I don't know why I worry about it because I make more mistakes than both of them put together. You know, so it's but yet I'm always terrified. You know,
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to your brother and your other foreman. What's his name? Your foreman's name?
Dustin,
I want you to go to your brother. What's your brother's name?
Darren,
Okay, go to the double D's. Okay,
yeah,
and say, "Do you need me on the job to help you?" And say, "Look, I want you to be dead straight with me. Don't blow smoke up my butt. Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth. Do you need me to be on the job for you to be able to do your job?"
right,
And I would probably guess that both of them will say no, unless there's
nope,
some major thing that comes up and we just need clarification. And that could just be a phone
right.
call.
So then, and then that frees me up to learn all this other stuff.
Yeah. Are you
Get
scared
it
of
all.
are
A
you scared of
little bit.
what are
I'm
you
not
scared
scared
about?
of. I'm scared of having to learn all this stuff.
But
I
why?
mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Um, just I know I got to do it. I know it's and it's time. I mean, I'm 49 years old. I'm running out of time quickly. And my dad never had to learn because he had me. So I was going to take over, follow up, get everything done. He didn't have to worry about it. I don't have that. I got to get this business up and running to take care of myself as I get older.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not doing it. So
How much is at stake if this doesn't get worked out?
oh gosh, I if we don't get all this worked out, I'll just be honest with you, I'm probably not going to be here long. You know, I work myself like crazy, and I don't take care of myself, and
And
and then
do you have kids?
I got 4 kids. My wife stays at home with the kids. My parents still rely on
Income?
income from the business. Yeah, there's a lot
Any grandkids?
going on. Not yet.
Okay.
Hopefully, hopefully not for a while. So,
So there's a lot at stake here.
oh,
And
there is.
is that pressure? Is that a lot of pressure on you to get
Oh,
this?
it's absolutely crushing at times.
Okay. So how can we use that as motivation to start making these changes?
I don't know how it hasn't worked to this point. Well, it has worked. It's led me in pursuit of finding a way, which has got me here. So,
Okay.
I
Can
mean,
can we step on the gas though and make this stuff start happening
yeah,
quicker?
that's the that's the thing. That's what has to happen. Because I mean, honestly, I'm kind of running out of time. So, just from a health standpoint, if I don't get straightened out a little bit,
Yeah. I mean, Doug, you could start walking every day. You could start walking 2 or 3 miles a day and start that health journey like this afternoon. You could just when we get
right?
off this call, you could just go and take a 2 mile walk or a 1 mile walk or a 500-yard walk. You don't have to have everything in your business figured out and all the stuff lined up before you can take care of yourself.
Right. I that's one of my things. I always want to have everything figured out and everything perfect before I make a move, and it just never happens.
And you get stuck in analysis paralysis.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So here's a here's a kind of a hack to get bypass some of that. When you start creating some of these SOPs, when you start taking stuff out of your head and putting it on paper, you're not creating the final draft the first time you do it. You're creating a first rough draft. If you remember back in elementary school when you write a paper, you kind of outline everything and it's a rough draft, right? Maybe you turn it
Yeah,
into the teacher and she marks it up and says fix these things. That's what you're doing. It's what I call a live document. So when you're creating SOPs, it's not a once and done and I have to make sure this video is absolutely perfect so I'm going to record it 27 times. No,
yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's just a first rough draft. And even if you miss stuff, if you create a checklist for your crew, like maybe do you ever go to a job site and forget stuff?
Oh, all the time,
Okay, so
constantly.
you create a checklist. If you're doing pier installations for a foundation shore up or whatever, you create a checklist of all of the tools and materials that you need. Okay, you print it out on a piece of paper, you stick it in your folder or whatever you use for the job, and before your team leaves the shop, your foreman whips out the checklist. Hey, do we got this? We got this. Yep, 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 yep. And they check it off. Now, the first time you create that checklist, you might forget 4 things on there.
Right.
And that's okay because they're going to go through the checklist. You're going to get to the job site, realize you forgot these 4 things. And then what are you going to do after that?
Add them to the list.
Add them to the list. That's why you have a first rough draft and then you build off that. I had some folders that I made. I thought I have one right here. For my business, I made some folders about some like 17 by 14 heavy cardstock, and I would print on one side and then I would fold them in half and use that as a actual folder instead of buying
Yeah.
manila folders. Well, the information
Yeah.
that was on that, I probably went through 17 revisions of that document before I finally got to where I wanted it. And so you just create a rough draft, use it for a day, a week, a month, and then make adjustments. And eventually, over a period of time, you'll have the perfect document. And then you're done with it until a year later when something changes. A new technology,
Right.
a new tool, a new material. So what do? You go in, you just pull up that document and you update it. That's why I call it a living document. So you got to get out of this
Right.
mindset that it has to be perfect the first time you do it because it doesn't have to be.
Right. And even if it's not perfect, it's still better than the system we have.
Yeah, I mean
So,
70% is better than 0%.
right. Right.
And then you build on it and you get feedback.
That's I think that's the problem is a lot of times I'm just like, well, if it's not, if it's not 90, 100%, it's useless. It's just something gets in the way.
That
But
yes, that's a mindset.
yeah, absolutely. Mindset's such a huge issue, and I've been working on it for a long time, and it's a tough one.
Yeah. Let me ask you, this is going to be a little left field, and if you don't want to answer, that's perfect. Okay. Have you ever thought about, or have you ever done like actually seen like a therapist or some kind of psychiatrist around some of the fear stuff?
No, no, haven't.
Might be something
So,
to consider. Just
yeah.
a lot of times, most of the mindset stuff that we deal with are because of childhood trauma or childhood beliefs. It helped us when we were a kid, doesn't help us as an adult.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't want to get too deep into anything. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like my wife and I go to marriage counseling. that's just to help
Yeah.
us get better.
I got nothing against that, but I've never really thought about it. So
Just something to consider, with some of the fear stuff, some of the worst case scenario,
yeah,
there may be some lingering things that haven't been dealt with. It may not be, but anybody who's listening to this podcast, it's remove that stigma that like there's something wrong with you if you go see a professional. Like just throw that away. That's dumb. Doesn't make you weak or anything wrong with you. So, um, has this been helpful at all?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've had several revelations during this.
Well, that's good. So I do want to give you some like actionable takeaways, and I'm going to follow up with you on.
Yeah,
So number
great.
one, number one, um, the first one is to just check out. You could do it. You can kind of hit this from different directions. It's really just start the process of getting your accounting set up. So
Right,
whether you log into Wave and take it, download it for free, or you talk to a bookkeeper or an accountant and just have a conversation. I'm not even telling you to commit, to actually do anything. Just start the process of researching what that's going to take to do that. So
right,
that you may have to talk to a few different accountants or CPAs or bookkeepers to figure out one that's going to work for you. And one little tip, if you're looking for an accountant, a CPA, bookkeeper, try to find one that specializes in construction or service-based industry businesses.
would you would you recommend I want to switch to a profit first
Yes, 100%.
thing. That seems like, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So
You probably have to go. What you can do is go to profitfirst.com, and there is a link on there. You can fill out a form, and they will put you in touch with a certified Profit First professional, and then you can just have that conversation. It doesn't cost anything.
okay,
And like I had a Profit First. Alicia was mine for many years in my construction business, and she lives in Minnesota. I live in Indiana. I've never met her in person, so it doesn't have to be
okay,
in person.
right,
But
yeah. With the beauty of the internet, I mean, it's a connected world.
yeah, and just to show you, like, relieving some of that stuff, I set her up as a user of my bank account. Now she couldn't take money out of my account, but she had
Right,
privileges to pay bills and transfer money. And so I never, like, once I hired her, I never paid another bill. I never had to worry about it. It was all taken care of.
yeah,
All I had to do was deposit money into the bank account. Now, if it got a little low, she would just say, "Hey, just so there's only $6,000 in your account. You got $8,000 worth of bills coming up in the next week, and then I may have to make some changes or whatever."
yeah. Scramble, yeah.
But I literally like checked out of that and never had to think about paying bills again.
See, there's been months where I never paid a bill, but it wasn't a good thing, like
I,
you had. So,
I've been there
yeah,
too. I mean, we've all been
yeah,
there. But
yeah.
what I'm saying is, what you've effectively done when you can do that is you've now unloaded 15 things that you need to do in your business.
Right. And they're probably the 15 things that I would be the worst at, that I have the least interest in, and I could focus on other places.
Exactly. So, and that, I mean, like, literally you could have someone potentially onboarded by the end of next week doing that for
Mm.
you, and that task is now delegated. It doesn't take 6 months to get to that point.
Right. That's one of the things, is if you don't know the process, it seems pretty daunting from the outside looking in, and you kind of don't know
Yeah, have you ever
how to.
ate an elephant before?
I look like I have, but no.
Do you know how you eat an elephant?
Absolutely. They're one bite at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking at the
Yeah.
entire elephant and trying to figure out how you're going to swallow this thing.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Pick one little thing, fix that one little thing that frees up an hour a week of your time or, stress of that task. Pick another thing, get that done. That one frees up 3 hours a week of your task or stress. And then you just keep going and you just start knocking them down.
That's it makes sense. Just
So,
gotta go do it.
find an accountant, talk to an accountant, get through the process, try to get that like I said, you don't have to make a hiring decision or whatever. Just start the
Right.
process. The other thing is if you have health concerns, like seriously, just get out and walk. Like I don't care if it's
Yeah,
to your mailbox and back.
yeah. I'm not in as bad as I'm not in that bad of shape. I could still go, I work on the jobs and everything, but it's just the stress is eating me alive. The blood pressure's high.
Go
You
for
know,
go for a walk, put the podcast on, put the Hammer and Grind podcast, listen to an audiobook, listen to relaxing music, meditation music, I don't care. Use that time to decompress.
see, that's something that could be useful.
Well, it's not could
At
be.
least,
It 100% is
yeah,
useful. You will feel better when you do that, I promise you. Get out in the sun. I don't care if it's like I said to your mailbox and back. Like start and just each day go a little bit further. Each day go a little bit further. I don't care if you do it early in the morning, late at night, at lunchtime, whatever. Just do it, and then use that time to double down on learning. Listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, whatever.
yeah. Heck, I could even go scout for deer.
You could do that.
Go out and walk in the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, walking the woods is better than walking down the street. You're in nature.
Oh, absolutely.
There's medicinal benefits to walking in the woods.
Hmm.
That's the second thing. So we got to figure out an accountant that we're going to look into, kind of get that process. We're going to at least take one walk, try to do it each day, but I'm just saying commit to one walk, one time, one day. And the third thing is you got to ask the double D's if they need your help on the job site. And then you're going to process the information, whatever they tell you, you're going to actually meditate on it. You're going to process that. You're going to think about it. You're going to internalize that.
So that's.
Can you do those three things?
I can do those three things.
Okay. I'm going to ask you on the next Wednesday's call if you've done those three things.
Okay.
So don't miss next Wednesday's call. Because if you do, I'm just going to call you directly.
Just a little busy on the job. Yeah. I had an emergency. I broke another window. Yeah.
That's probably going to happen now. It's probably your guys are going to get out this call. Hey, Doug, we just broke a window. And you're like, I don't have to.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to happen. All right, Doug, anything else before we hop off? Anything else I can help you with? Any more clarity, any direction, anything?
Boy, I think I got I know I got a sheet full here. So I think I got enough. I got something to process here.
All right. I want to hear a verbal yes from you that you're going to do those three things.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll get two of them taken care of in the next couple hours.
Perfect. And then once you do those, report back to me. You don't have to wait till Wednesday. Shoot me a message and let me know how it goes.
Okay.
I want to hear back from you.
Yeah.
Doug, I appreciate you coming on here and doing this. It takes a lot of guts to be vulnerable and to put yourself out here. And I always tell my guys when they join, like one of the most important things you can do is to be vulnerable, because most of your growth in life will happen when you're the most vulnerable. So kudos to you for hopping on here and doing this. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully it's going to be some actionable advice and you'll be able to make some changes in your business. And I'm looking forward to seeing, where you go from here. And if you guys are listening to this podcast and anything that we talked about resonated with you, leave a comment, shoot me a message, let me know. I like to hear feedback from you guys. Sometimes you guys will shoot me a message, hey, I listened to this podcast, really resonated, and I appreciate that. So, Doug, thanks again for being on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Any final thoughts?
Thanks for your just it's all this stuff that once you hear it, it makes sense. But I've been doing this for 30 years and never thought of it. So thank you for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Doug. And guys, you know where to find me. Search for the Hammer and Grind podcast on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. And remember, until next time, profit is not a dirty word. You should be clear.